now.
All right, we're back in session. First up is Shanda.
Shanda Crystal, Purchasing and Economic Analyst. I'm here before the board today to review and discuss county-wide paper purchases. As we're looking at ways to save money and efficiencies in the county, as some of the restrictive spending requests came in this year, Commissioner Huff and I looked at paper and said that's an easy one. That's an easy one that a lot of departments countywide use, that we can go out to bid in a group instead of individually like the commissioner's office or the clerk's office going out, right? So we started asking around how much paper they would guesstimate from last year that they would use. And COVID has done a roller coaster. Some departments' paper usage has doubled, and a lot of them have shrank, which is wonderful. But we went and got a bunch of numbers together, and we just based it off the restrictive spending requests that had come in as kind of a benchmark of where we kind of were average-wise. And we got three different vendors contacted as far as we wanted our departments to be able to purchase at any time. If they wanted one case, if they wanted a pallet, whatever it might be for their department, what was right for them. And we wanted them to be responsive. And we required that they be able to fulfill that request within 24 hours. So that was our two requests. I way conservatively, our departments came back and guesstimated they would use just over about 700 cases in a year, countywide. So conservatively, we backed that up quite a bit and said that Bannock County would commit to purchase 450 cases. So depending on how COVID affected the rest of the year, we had a lot of room to play. But we did want them to be responsive to our departments and commit to that 24-hour delivery. We got three vendors, all responded back. Costco was the first one that I wanted to review. They were unable to do what I had requested, as they would deliver a truckload of paper to us. So, having nowhere to put a truckload of paper, I said thank you very much. I did want to know the price, because if they're going to give us a killer deal, maybe that's a discussion we have at another time, that we find a place, right? So I at least asked them to go ahead and give me a price on that, just so we could have potentially a discussion at another time. But for today's purposes, they won't be able to fill the request as we've asked. Porter's was another company that responded back. They committed to the next day delivery, whether it was a case or a pallet. They even went so far, they told me that their driver would assist us in stacking the paper. So like in the commissioner's office, we have a room, right, and we put it on the shelf. They would actually bring in, cut open the box, and put it on the shelf for us. And I'm like, that is awesome. And not that it takes a ton of time, but how nice would it be for our department just to be like, that is the shelf, or that's the cabinet, or whatever it might be. If they wanted stacking cases, right, they'll do it that way. But they'll do it just about any way we need them to do. So that was wonderful. Porter's came in for a single case at $31.69. The next vendor that we reached out to was Valley Office Systems. Unfortunately, they pulled out of the bidding and said that they would have to step aside this year and potentially do it another time. So that we were sad to hear, but accepted that from them. So really the dollar amount that we have from Porter's is the only company that is officially bidding with us. When we compared it to the restrictive spending request that we looked at, it is just short of $13 savings from the restricted spending request. So I was super pleased with that. In the amount of time that it took me, a couple emails to send out, and 5-10 minutes before the board, potentially to save the county somewhere in the realm of about $9,000 over a year, depending on how much it is we buy. I felt that that was a great use of our time and effort. So a couple different asks that I have here today for the board. One, I would recommend that we move forward with Porter's bid and require the county departments to work with Porter's to be able to order there. And this is standard office copy. This isn't color. This isn't hole punch that Julie uses. This is standard office copy paper, high quality. We have a certain 20-pound weight, 91 brightness that seems to be fairly average across most departments. So we would recommend that we move forward in making a contract with Porter's to get that done. And that would be if accepted, right, we would work with legal to make that contract and have it before the board potentially on Tuesday for official signature to move forward, right?
So when a department, so let's say Carrie wants to order some paper in the recorder's office, does she need to tell you, or does she go straight to Porter's? So it's really the same.
It is really the same.
How will she identify, just if it gets sent to Bannock County, they're gonna log it that way?
Mhm.
Okay,
So
that's slick.
I did ask a little more information of Porter's because they were the only one to actually bid on this project this year. And once we have that contract signed and back to them, they will make sure that all of my departments have that standard 3169. Auditing would also be aware, right, that all of the paper cases should come in. If any department auditing, whoever, right, see any other price than that, right, that's a red flag, right, and let's get it fixed. But there's very little disruption as far as if departments are used to calling or ordering online or,
Just do it.
right?
Mhm.
And they order however, whenever is comfortable for them. And again, the quantity, right, is
Right.
completely up to them as well. So there's very little disruption to the department itself, but just hopefully a good chunk of savings for us.
Awesome.
For example, the sheriff wanted to order a couple pallets, and we confirmed with Porter's that they would deliver a pallet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
The only other one that you'll just need to know is there are some papers that go out on recorded documents that I have to use a certain type of paper, specifically marriage licenses is a different. So that's another one that you'll see come across, well, why didn't you order? It's a very specific paper that we have to use, but that is the cheapest prices off Amazon. And so that's where Carrie orders that. But that's only a box or maybe 2 boxes a year, depending on, how eager people are to get married that year.
But I think this is a standard.
Yeah,
that
this
we
is a-
wanna
this
start
is a-
going in the
yeah.
county.
Yeah, this is great.
Like you say, this is low fruit. It's a good example. It shows, if we're gonna save $9,000 and we're not even, up to the amount that we'll probably use.
Yeah.
And it just
Yeah, it's great.
makes sense to me.
And there are definitely other opportunities, right, that we go and branch out. Elections does a ton of hole punching stuff, but this go round, we just did standard, what everybody could use. It's not even legal, right, this is standard 14.5 by 11. So there are definitely other areas that we can branch out to, but this one, fairly simple, but a good chunk of savings for us.
And like I say, I don't like ordering 2 cases or 2 pallets and having them sit somewhere.
Mhm.
The chance
That-
of water damage or the chance of something else, if somebody else is storing them for us, and we don't have to order the quantity, we're better off, in my opinion.
And that is something I was going to future discuss with the sheriff's office, is that maybe they could use whatever area that they're storing those 3 pallets, they could use for something else. I'm sure they could use the space, but they have funds this year that they wanted to get used up. So this year they'll continue in that fashion, and then they'll build something towards the future as far as a more just-in-time kind of ordering stuff.
Yeah, move forward on it and let's get a contract and have it checked with legal and do good things for this county.
Perfect. I love it. I will touch base with legal then and get that going. You should see it before you next Tuesday then.
Thank you.
Good work.
Ryan?
Ryan Belknap, HR and Risk Management Director. So, I guess jumping right in, on the agenda you'll see that I submitted 3 procedures that I've been working on since I came here. And you go to my office, I've got on my whiteboard a list of procedures that I'm working on and chipping away. And these were the first 3 based on needs that I saw in the county. Hope I gave you enough time to read through them, and just wondering if you had any questions or anything you want me to specifically talk about.
And honestly, I briefed them, but I'd like to go over them more.
Sure.
And then Commissioner Tubby I'd like his input also before we, make it official. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, and I'm like Ernie, I scanned through it, trying to get ready for the day, and I would like to have a little bit more time.
Okay.
But I didn't see anything that jumped out at me, so I think this is a great step in the right direction. So I think if we could have the weekend or whatever to look at it, I'd be ready to go by Tuesday and do something that way.
Sure. And on that line, like the recruitment and the ADA, well, there's nothing in place right now. So I just tried to copy what we're doing already and just get it in writing. So there shouldn't be anything really major changes that happen because of these. The other point would be, there's policy, which I think is I'm also working on, but I think that's gonna be changed less frequently. And then these procedures, of course, I would like to know what your opinion is on, I probably catch grammatical errors and typos, or maybe one or two lines. It's not substantially gonna change the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm gonna need to come before you for all those modifications
No.
or how you want that to work.
No, grammatics and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It's just, it's just like Shannon just come in. It's a kind of different from what we've been at. And
Yeah.
it's something that we just wanna be able to talk about for a minute before we make it a policy or a procedure in the county, get some inputs. But I appreciate the work. Even the incident reporting, that's bothered me since I've been here. Something happens to somebody, or we have an accident, or we have anything, nobody knows what to do.
Mhm.
Just the communication and stuff that this will generate, and responsibility, and with all of it. Americans with Disability Act. I mean, yeah, we have people just say, well, what do I do? And we want to answer those questions, and it's great to have it down in a procedure process.
Yeah, it'll help. And one thing that I wanted to point out for you, Jason, is on the incident reporting, I mentioned the torts process. And so if you had any feedback on that, I ran it by Christie, but I don't know if anyone else would need to take extra look into that. So, okay, well, thank you.
We appreciate it.
And I guess, you want me to do another agenda item for a week from now, or how?
We'll put it on the schedule, and
Okay.
and we should be able to just come in, and you're welcome to come and attend that. But yeah, let's put it on the schedule for Tuesday, and it'll just be on the agenda. Like I said, I want some input from this guy here.
Yeah.
So
Okay, great.
Thanks, Ryan.
shouldn't be a
There'll be
big,
more coming.
Look
big
good.
item.
Okay,
Look good.
thank you.
Did you have rodeo people coming?
They are here.
Come on up.
Look at that. Anytime. You're good, you're good. Annie, you wanna come up?
There's an empty chair right there. Over here.
All right.
By Jason.
Okay. So you see, you have a copy of the ISU rodeo contract for this year, right?
Yes.
Ask. So we did some cost breakdown, I'll pass it on to you. And one thing that we did talk about that I did not throw in that contract, you and I talked about that I think we need to throw in there, is we did talk about volunteer hours, right? And so I think that'd be a good thing to make sure that's in that contract. As well. So.
Thank you.
Commission, thank you for the opportunity to address you today. Scott Crowther, Business Manager and Event Director. And
Cindy Wilson, head coach for ISU Rodeo.
so we are kind of marching forward with the plan I presented a couple of weeks ago, my 3-year plan, which was to start locking down some of these people that use our venues into multi-year contracts. And ISU is a team that is a group that we have worked with for several years, and we are proud to be the home of ISU Rodeo. So this year, what you can see, and we compiled a list of kind of fee schedule, the fee schedule items and some of the things that ISU would like to pay for, and then some of the things that they would like us to include in the contract. So some of the things that are on the fee schedule are the use of the indoor arena at $50 an hour for both the spring and the fall semester. The Bengal Roundup Rodeo, which is an all-day up at the upper arenas, and then the use of the livestock pens, which historically we have not had a charge for the livestock pens. It's just kind of been part of the contract. We don't have anything on our fee schedule for that. And then the indoor passes, which essentially is a 6-month pass that allows people from ISU to go in and ride when the arenas or the venues are not being utilized by other people. And that is the family rate of $240. So the contract that ISU is proposing, and that we feel is a good contract, is $10,740. The services that we would include in that contract, and the price breakdown here on the is for their rodeo, the rodeo day, there's fees for the upper and indoor arena that $12,000. The stalls, they rent 39 stalls at $55 a month, which ends up being about $12,000. And then there's 4 days of the indoor arena, 4 additional days with $2,000. And then as far as the rodeo goes, we will have to provide tractor with operator for those hours. So that comes to $75 an hour for 2 hours, which again, depending on the event, if it's like the rodeo, we're going to be running a water truck and a tractor, and sometimes we may be running 2 tractors at the same time. So it's not always 2 tractors, it's not always 1 tractor. But anyway, we came up with those calculations. 6,000, and the indoor passes are included in here. So based upon the fee schedule, the total cost for this event, or these events, would be about, I shouldn't say these events, but for the usage would be about $32,000. So, but there are a few things that ISU has done historically to help mitigate those costs, like the stall rentals. We give them the stalls clean and ready to go, and then they are returned to us in the same condition. They take really good care to clean and muck their stalls on a regular basis. If there's ever any issues, we can address those and we get rid of it. Now, we do haul away the manure.
Okay,
That is.
Do they just take it and put it outside the stalls, or do they go put it in the bunkers?
They take it in the bunkers.
Okay.
So, I mean, and that is having mucked a lot of stalls in the last couple months, that's a huge deal, having them actually take it and put it in the bunkers.
Very much
So, and then our job is obviously to keep them clean, because we want to keep flies.
Yes. They have extremely strict stalling and rules. Like, they're not allowed to practice if they're not cleaned at 4. They don't practice. They don't actually get to be entered in competition on the weekend. Like, I have pretty strict policy there. Another thing with our rodeo, we've always we usually sell out most all your stalls during our event, and then you guys get it after that for $3, which there's also a little benefit for that weekend.
So they're willing to pay $10,000?
Yes.
7 for,
10,000 a month.
I don't see that anywhere in this contract.
Well, so the way our contracts are, I don't know if did we do an actual contract or did we just provide the
I
information?
just put one together for her to sign,
Got it.
so we've had one, but we didn't have any.
Okay. So we'll make sure on the contract that we we bring down for you guys to sign, that has that number
Okay.
specifically on there.
Yeah, I didn't see
And,
any
yeah.
numbers at all, so.
And it will be on, sorry, it will be on the, that fee schedule page that we use, that we do.
Okay,
We'll try to clear out the fee schedule on there.
that isn't attached here at
Yeah.
all, so that was one of my questions. Couple more on this number 4. Where it talks about all shavings sold directly from the fairgrounds will be sold at current price and all funds go to the fairgrounds. That's gotta be the event center.
Yes.
But that language, the fairgrounds is different. And I don't want them coming in here and saying,
Yeah.
I get this money.
Yep.
We gotta be very, very careful about that. And then the other part, you mentioned a little bit. I think that for this, 200 hours of service, however you feel it needs to be, it needs to be under your direction, the 200 hours of service. Whether it's come in and paint the fences or something. I think that for this amount of money, and I'll just tell you, if we're having a concert up there or something and we need somebody for parking, if they're up there with their jackets on, saying the rodeo, it's good for both of us.
We kind of talked about that too, like if you guys ever need ushers and stuff like that, it would be really good for my kids, just promotion wise for Idaho State University. Like if they're in their vest, cowboy hats, stuff like that, when you guys are having these country concerts, things like that.
Exactly.
I think that would be a great way, like if you go, they go see people, things like that. It's good for them because I'm trying to get them out a lot more now. And so I think that would be a great.
But I'd like that part of our contract.
Sure.
You know, you guys volunteer 200 hours under the direction of the manager.
How many kids do you have in there this year?
So this year I have 18 right now. I lost
18.
some that kind of last minute went on mission and stuff like that.
10 hours apiece, you know?
Yep.
It's just,
Yep. And they kind of, I already make them do lots of cleanups around there, especially after different ropings and stuff like that. They're on trash patrol, whether they like it or not.
and that's, my feelings are, the events that you're sponsoring,
Mhm.
cleanup is part of the contract.
Yep. I
It isn't,
totally
you know,
agree.
we get to just walk out when it's over.
Well, and the way, and I think we've talked about this a little bit with my vision up there is, I really want to do more cross venue activities. So we are taking the kids from the rodeo ground and getting them over at the the amphitheater, doing some work for us out there, being visible. We do have a community cleanup day that we're going to be running in the next week. Having a bunch of kids out in rodeo jackets is a fantastic way to promote the community involvement. You know, so there are opportunities, and I would look to try to find ways to pull them a little bit further away from the rodeo stuff.
I want them seen.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's the key.
So, aside from those changes, any other changes that you guys see that we need to identify?
We talked about it last year, that this is the home of ISU Rodeo,
Yep.
national champions, or whatever
Yep.
your
I would
title
love
is
to
at this
put that
time.
all
But,
I'm down. Down.
but how many ropings have we had? How many events have we had this year
Yep.
that sign could entice somebody to come be one of your students?
Yep, I agree. I've been working on that, but I've struggled with ISU, honestly, getting marketing and them to actually come through or something. But I would love to plaster that everywhere, because that's a big thing, like with recruiting and stuff like that for you, so.
I think we could work together to market that.
I think it would be.
Well, we have a couple of pretty good marketing people around here that have some pretty good ideas.
They're okay.
Just tell Stuart to get off his butt.
I call him, but then he doesn't answer, and then he'll get back to me, and he'll call me back, and I'm like, Stuart, we're never
Come on,
gonna get
Stuart.
anywhere.
Let's get to work, Stuart.
You know?
And then like all contracts,
Yep.
they go through legal.
Yeah.
Comments? No?
Nope, I'm happy with where we're headed, so great to have you, but I'm like Commissioner Moser, I would like to see that sign up there.
Me too.
That would be awesome.
Maybe just a little bit of that, just before we get out of here.
Who's this person that we need to put pressure on?
Stuart Summers, he's the head of marketing for ISU.
So
You know,
200,
Yeah.
216
Let's get that
hours
sign up here.
It's 11 hours.
is 12 hours per, you think that works?
Yeah.
I think that'd be
More-
fine.
12 hours, a day and a half, or, whatever. Well, it wouldn't be a day and a half,
Yeah,
we'll break it up, but
we'll just break it up and spread it out.
260.
All I say is put it in the contract so that it's guaranteed that it's gonna happen.
Per year.
And it's under your direction. That's,
Per year?
I don't want them showing up and saying, well, I went and picked weeds for 2 hours and nobody saw them there. I want them under your direction.
Yep, for sure.
I'm good.
Okay, so we'll make the changes, get it down to legal, and then get it before you guys for
Yep.
signature.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was the easiest meeting I ever did.
Wonder why, no. With that being said, we are adjourned for the day.